with the bass singing lady from Baltimore that's going to be serenading and strumming the strings on March 30th. I want y'all to welcome Jamicka.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
I got through it. That was alliteration. I didn't mess up.
You did great. That was a beautiful introduction.
All right. So I want to jump in. There's so much that we could cover, but let's just start off with the early inspiration. What brought you to music?
Um, what brought me to music? Singers and vocalists like Jill Scott, Anita Baker,
Okay.
Tina Marie, Layla
Couple spare
Hathaway. Yes, absolutely. Let us see. Yeah, I just love their voices. Love.
Okay, so those are some heavy hitters. I also, when talking to you and reading your bio, I heard a lot of gospel influence. Tell me more about that.
Yes. I was born and raised in the church.
Okay.
My grandfather is a pastor, and church was mandatory every week. And we were a small town country church. And, a lot of the times the musicians that were playing there would eventually leave and go to the larger churches. So that would leave us with, figuring out what who's gonna play this Sunday. So that motivated me to play the bass because no one was playing bass at the time. But it wasn't all by ear because I am classically trained.
Classically trained. Put some respect on the name.
A lot of people don't know that about me, but I don't promote it as much. But yes, I am classically trained. I studied at the Baltimore School for the Arts in high school, and that's where I got most of my training and theory and things like that. So it was easier for me to pick up on the bass guitar because I had that theory. Yeah.
All right, so you got the theory from the training, and then you also grew up in the church. Talk to me about the influence of the church. What was that like for you?
The influence of the church, the soul. I believe that's who I am. So I tap that into spiritual. I feel a spiritual thing when I sing neo soul music, just like I feel when I'm singing a gospel song.
We feel it too.
Yeah. It's music is spiritual. So I just love how when you just sing from the heart, you just sing. That's what soul music is. You just literally sing from the pit of your stomach. And I've been around that ever since I was young. And it just kind of just picked up on things like that. And I just incorporate that into the music that I do now.
Yeah.
Can I? Talk a little with me about your family and how that influenced your musical journey.
My family. Yes. So I have some musicians on both sides of my family.
That's fire.
My dad's side, they're more so musicians, less than vocalists. So my grandmother, she was a pianist in the church. She ran the male quartet, actually. And I would sit under her when I went to her church, and I just studied and just was watching her fingers and watching the left side of her hand just moving on that bass.
Yeah.
And on my mom's side, they're the vocalists. Not too many of them play instruments. Actually, yeah, they're all vocals. They all sang in the church. Like, once again, we were all motivated to join the choir, to join each ministry, because it was a family church. And I don't know, I do not know.
Yeah.
I think that's amazing.
Yeah, no, it sounds like it's a legacy.
Cut that out.
Yeah, we'll make that work. But it sounds like it's a legacy that both sides of the family are musical.
Yeah.
So it's something that's passed down. Now let's talk about the transition. So we know that the church is a sound, it's gospel, it's soul, it's spiritual, and then you transition to other forms of music. Talk to us about that.
I feel like I started exploring the whole neo soul sound once I moved to Philly.
Okay.
Which makes so much sense because Philly is the home of soul, neo soul. And that's when I felt more motivated to branch out and just showcase my skills and chops on the bass and vocal, because in Philly you can walk down the street and there's an open mic. There's an open mic on every corner. And I feel like there was more opportunities for me to showcase that versus where it was back home.
Okay.
But I also was in my classical bag. So Philly is the training grounds for what I'm doing now. It's trained me to open up as a artist, open up as a performer, and just do the daggone thing. Yeah.
So this is the training ground. Do you have any interesting training stories?
Mm. So yeah, I do have a story about that. So here's a story that at first I was embarrassed to talk about it, but now I just do not care. I will share this story because it's
Let us have
Yeah, we
it.
about
it's
to get
one
the
of my
tea.
most memorable stories as a musician. So a bass player friend of mine, actually, he plays bass. He called me. He said, "Hey, I won't be able to make my gig tomorrow. It's a jazz gig. Can you make it out in Trenton, New Jersey?"
Mm-hmm.
And I told him, I was like, I'm not a jazz bassist. Like, I can play it if I have the charts.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, don't worry about it. Just download the real thing, the real app, and you'll be fine. I'm like, okay, cool. So I get there. I explain to the MD, like, hey, you know, I have to literally just play a tune that's in this phone because I don't know charts by heart. So he calls out a random tune that wasn't even on the list. And
Oh, no.
I literally had to play by ear, do a walking bass line by ear, and it wasn't going so well. Then at the end of the song, he came up to me. He said, "All right, we're good. We're done. You can go home.
Oh.
We don't need you." And at first, I felt super defeated because I'm like, I came all this way, like 2 hours. Like I told you the deal. What's going on? So I packed up. I packed up my stuff. The drummer was like, "Where are you going?" And I was like, "He told me I had to leave." And the drummer was like, "If she goes, we all go."
One band, one
Yes.
sound.
Let's
One
go.
band, one sound. And I was shocked by that because I was like, you know, I didn't feel as qualified. So I was like, well, maybe I should go home. But then in that moment, I knew like to always stand up for yourself because I know who I am and I know what I bring to the table. It was just one of those mix-ups,
Yeah.
It was just, but because he stood up for me in that moment, I that always reminds me to always stand up for yourself. Never be afraid to stand up and what you believe in your sound. And yeah, next time I will be like, I'm not going anywhere.
I don't feel like they're going to be a next time because I done heard you.
Well, yes, there will be a
Listen.
next time.
Listen.
Listen.
I'll be prepared fully.
Fully.
Mm.
So, talk to me about finding community in the Philly art scene.
Finding community was very important. Immediately when I stepped on the scene of Philly, I was like, "Where are the women?" And that's common in anywhere that you go because we're just a small population in this industry anyway. So it motivated me heavily to start my own band,
Okay.
my all female band. Thank you, Black Canvas,
Mm-hmm.
because it was just a gap that was missing.
Yeah.
We needed more women on the scene. There was already killing women on the scene, but I didn't feel us coming together and pushing ourselves to be out there. So that's why I wanted to create a platform for us to just, you know, showcase our talents, our skills, because we are killing. And now that I have my community, I do feel more empowered to step out and do more single and solo stuff because I have more support, So,
And if y'all haven't heard Black Canvas,
thank you.
that's all I got to say.
That's all.
You don't know music if you haven't heard Black Canvas.
Thank you.
Also, just small world, Jay Shauna from Black Canvas was on the last County Jawn because they're just that dope. Yeah.
Wow.
Community.
Community.
Yes.
Describe your style. I know you're amazing at gospel. You mentioned some neo soul, and you also touched on jazz and how you were like surprised at how that had woven its way into your sound.
Yes.
Talk to me about that world.
I'm always shocked by that because I never fully tapped into the jazz world, but I've been around jazz musicians all my life. In church, a lot of church musicians are jazz musicians. A lot of jazz musicians play in church, so it's been everywhere. It's always, whether I go hang out with my friends who are at jazz clubs, I've always felt intimidated to play jazz because it was always a challenge, right? It's just all over the place.
Really experimental, like
it's very experimental.
Yeah.
But when it comes to jazz vocalists, like singers like Ella Fitzgerald, Sarah Vaughan, they influenced me heavily because just how they sing, it's just so soulful and it's buttery,
Like
it's
you are.
brown. Oh, thank you. And yeah, vocalists like that always resonate with me because I love to sing. I love to sing. And so you'll hear some of those elements inside of my music. It surprises me, but it makes sense. It really does make sense. You'll see.
Specifically, I love that you mentioned like Ella. There's something
Mm-hmm.
about the way that you kind of round your notes out at the end, and this is pretty technical, but I
Thank
really
you.
enjoyed the way that you round them out as she did at the end. The
Thank
vibrato just kind of
you.
closes in so nicely.
Mm,
Speaking
thank
of
you.
butter,
Thank
Yeah,
you. Thank
yeah.
you so much. I really tried.
sorry to interrupt.
The circumference of the notes
Right.
are
Very
round
specific. I
and
loved it.
buttery.
Thank you.
Clearly, I'm not a singer.
Right.
Now, that's an interesting transition, though,
Yeah.
because we had a bit of a conversation about you
Yeah.
debuting music, and
Yes.
you were telling me, well, I'm going to let you tell me what you were telling me.
Yes. So yeah, thank you to you guys. I will be bringing some original material for the very first time. I am nervous because this is my first time, putting myself out there. I'm always playing for other people and supporting their sounds and, going to the studio, playing their bass notes. But this time I'm putting out what I want to put out. And it's a fun, nervous, but it's fun so
Yeah.
far to just explore and create. And, hopefully my sound inspires people because that's the main goal. But it's gonna be fun. I'm excited.
The people, you heard it here. Jamicka is putting out music. She will be debuting music if she doesn't do it prior to the County Jawn at the County Jawn on March 30th. We're super excited. Now tell me about that sound. How would you describe it?
How would I describe it? It's live. It's bold.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's honest.
Okay.
Because I'm talking about myself. Oh, it's vulnerable
Okay.
and freedom.
All right.
Because I'm being free. I'm letting it all go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you like live music, bold music, honest music, vulnerable music, if you want to feel free, if you like neo soul, if you like jazz, if you like it all, if you like just independent artists, you're going to want to not only come to the concert but support Jamicka, which is streaming music, buying merch, following, doing all those other things, because that's what we tell people to do here.
Thank y'all so much for the love.
Yes. I don't, that was extra bold for no reason, but let's keep it going.
Love it.
You are degree in music therapy. Talk to us about that.
Yes. So as I mentioned earlier, my grandfather is a pastor, and me watching him, give back to a lot of people and realizing that's philanthropy. And that inspired me to give back in my way through music, because music is something that I always loved. And music and helping people is music therapy. You're empowering people. So I know how it makes me feel. And I just love being able to use my gift that God gave me to help someone.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's this beautiful legacy piece of your grandfather as a pastor, philanthropist.
Yeah,
That's a hard word. And you as a musician, and then you finding that middle ground of he's healing people, you're a musician, and now you're healing people with music.
Exactly.
That is beautiful. I want to tell a story because I'm getting old and I tell stories. I'm 30 plus now. And then we're going to transition into rapid fire. So quick story. We're looking for artists. I'm scouring all over the place, and I see that you're performing at Black Girl Art Show. Yes. I make a unilateral decision. I did not talk to my team. I never do this. I'm sorry, guys. And I'm like, I'm popping up at Black Girl Art Show. And my plan is I'm going to listen to the set, and I'm going to decide after I listen to the set.
Okay.
Everything's setting up. Jamicka walks on stage and does sound check. She does sound check. I look across the room at my partner who knows her. I'm like, you got to introduce me. She's booked. It is what it is. So then I make sure the introduction happens. I commit that day to booking you. I did not talk to my team.
Wow.
So then I text the team. I'm like, hey guys, my fault. I booked somebody. I booked Jamicka. I get text first. They never text me back quick. So y'all trash for that. They text me back quick like, oh, you booked Jamicka. And I was like, Jamicka's a superstar. Let's go.
No.
Now all of a sudden I'm a genius because I booked a superstar. Thank you for that. All right. Quick, rapid fire. What's your biggest musical inspiration?
My biggest musical inspiration, like an artist that inspired me. Well, y'all know I'm gonna say Jill Scott.
Hey, Jilly from Philly.
I know I keep saying this, but also instrumentalists that do more than one thing. So like Thundercat, he goes crazy on the bass and he sings. and very well,
Yeah.
actually. And he doesn't get enough credit for his vocal skills and his vocal chops.
Mm-hmm.
Esperanza was somebody I listened to still now,
Yeah.
but heavy when I was starting to learn to play bass and sing at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Even bands that, like the Gap Band, like Earth, Wind and Fire, Isley Brothers, like those type of sounds definitely play a big part on who I am because I'm an old soul.
Yeah.
And it's soulful, and it all ties in together.
Those are
I'm
heavy
to say
hitters.
that for now.
Yeah, those are heavy hitters. I'm going to be a stickler. I said biggest inspiration. You gave me inspirations.
Oh, yeah.
Give me one. Give me one.
One inspiration?
One.
Ooh.
Well, I already talked about Jill Scott, so maybe I can do another.
No, we'll go with Jill Scott. We're tagging Jill Scott. Jill
Okay,
Scott,
we're
we want
tagging
you
her.
to know who Jamicka is. Jamicka's dope.
Jamicka.
I love you, okay? And I will share the stage with you one day. That's my dream, my prayer. But yeah, I like I mentioned before, just her being authentic into herself, her sound.
Mhm.
I find that a lot of artists these days, they skip over the artistry part, what it takes to be an artist, and the exploration journey. It's a journey. And Jill Scott really, if you really dive in her music, she took the time to explore who she is and what she's about. And that inspires me as a young artist.
There we
For someone
go.
who's getting started. So she is my inspiration all day.
There we go.
If you could share the stage with one person, one legend, dead or alive, who would that be?
Hands down, Jill Scott. If I had the opportunity, I would, because I am a huge fan of her musically, vocally, sonically. As I mentioned earlier, she just inspired me to be myself, to be my authentic self, to explore who I am. So I would say her for sure.
So Jill Scott's all over this one.
Yeah, she's a
Again,
legend.
All things Jilly.
Jill.
A legend.
Tap in, Jill.
Moving quickly, you can only choose one from this point forward, bass or vocals.
Please don't make me choose.
I'm gonna make you choose.
Please
Choose
don't
either
make me choose.
Again, churchy.
Right.
Raised in the church.
Well, I'm a natural vocalist. Like I've been singing since I came out the womb naturally, even before I understood what music was. But bass is the best instrument in the world, so I'll have to go with the bass.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go with the bass.
Final answer?
Yeah, because you can sing with the
No pressure.
bass. You can sing with it. You know?
Okay.
Yeah, you can do what you want with the bass.
That's deep. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Okay, so what is one word that you want the people to say when you're done performing? One word.
One word. Excellent. I want them to say excellent.
How excellent.
Come on.
No,
Come
Josh.
on.
Listen, we're not gonna do that. I'm not gonna be singing
Every
that.
Sunday as a kid, every third Sunday. No, Josh.
Yeah, that's a staple. That's a
The
staple.
people. March 30th, Ardmore Music Hall. Doors open up at 6:45. I won't be singing, but Jamicka will. You're going to want to be there. Tell your mama, tell your brother, tell your cousins, tell everybody. Tell Jill Scott. We want Jill Scott to be there now. And see us there.
Bye.